As Christians, we are not to bring worldly mentalities of authority and leadership into the way we lead. Let me read that one more time for the video. Matthew 20:25. But Jesus called unto him and said, you know, the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and that they that are great exercise authority over them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister, and whosoever should be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to minister unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. This is what we call a servant leader. Servant leader. A servant leader means that the way I lead is through serving, not lording, not being over people, but serving people. Now, with that is not just the actions, it's the mentality, it's the attitude that you take in order to be a servant leader, that your role here is significant. Everybody hear me on this part. He says, he that would be great among you, let him be your minister. Now, everybody listen to this. When the term great here is used, I need you to think about it from this perspective. Where much is given, much is required. The reason why we are leaders is because given much. Everybody in here, let me tell you what you have. You either have a high IQ, you're very intelligent. You have a great level of accomplishment. You have went out and got your education or your schooling. You have grace in your loyalty, your work effort, meaning that you are above average. Average means that you are the best of the world. Everybody in here, leaders, you're above average. And you're above average in everything that you do. You're above average in every place that you go. I remember when I first moved down here from New York, I had accomplished quite a bit in New York, and I was a little nervous. These people don't know me. I don't know how they're going to treat me. And, you know, I had really made some accomplishments. Somebody said, cream always rises to the top. You're going to be good no matter where I put you. I'll put you in Alaska. You're going to be better than the Eskimos. I ain't working with you. Put you in Africa, you're going to be better than the Africans. It doesn't matter. You are great. Everybody say great. Great. But with that greatness comes responsibility. And then as a Christian, it is not to use your greatness to get people to serve you. It's to use your greatness to serve people. Are you with me? It is to use that to help your fellow man. We must think of people as folks that don't have what we have, so we're here to give them what we got. That's the reason why it's been given to you, not to look important, not to be important, not to have the best cars, the best houses, the biggest office, the this, the that. It is so that you can help those that do not have it. That's a servant leader. That's what we are called to be. It is important. Now, I'm trying to decide if I want to go into Tony Dungy's book today, but I do want you all to get it. It's called The Mentor Leader. Tony Dungy's book, The Mentor Leader. We'll be going through this. Probably I'll spend a little bit more time in it on next week. And I may look at it a little bit today. But he uses that term mentor, and it's a term that I've become familiar with. And I use that, his term to me is still being a servant. And I had to learn that because the way I learned how to through my leader was what I called role modeling. I just watched my leader. I watched how and what he did, and then I picked up on that. But I realized as I became a pastor, everybody don't operate that way. Everybody don't think that way. And so a lot of times we look at people like, why don't people just get it? I'm preaching. Because you got it. Why don't people just do the right thing? Because you do the right thing. And so what's happening is you're trying to take people who don't have what you have and put. There's a reason why they don't do it. There's a reason why they don't have it, because they don't have what you have. And I don't know what that have is. It could be loyalty. It could be stick-to-itiveness. It could be intellectual. It could be spirituality. It could be how they was raised. It could be the environment they grew up in. Any number of things. Folks just need to live safe. Folks just need to live holy. Folks just need to act right. Folks just need to. That's why you're here. You can't just say y'all need to act right. You need to teach people. You need to show people. You love people. You need to serve people. You need to help people. Pastor, I've been helping them for years. We'll help them for some more years. This is our call. This is what it means to have greatness, authority, to have leadership. That is to serve. Christian leadership. What is servant leader? Let me read this article here. It is the focus on the growth of the individual, that they might flourish and achieve full potential, not primarily the potential of the organization. That distinguishes servant leadership style. The primary concern of the servant leader is service to their followers. The primary focus. The world's leadership is all about you and your organization. Servant leadership is all about the people that are following you, the people that have been connected or attached to you. In the secular business schools, it was Robert Greenleaf who, in the early 1970s, proposed the servant leader model. However, the concept of servant leader is not such a modern concept, but can be found in the biblical account of the life of Jesus Christ. By examining his model, we can identify a Christ-centered, like servant leader style that works for Christians who lead people in any situation. If you find yourself in a situation in the church or in any other area in the life and you can't get along with people, you're not being a very good servant leader. Three people say amen. I didn't like that at all. Well, Pastor, you know I don't get along with so-and-so. Well, the only reason why you don't get along with so-and-so is not so-and-so. And I didn't say so-and-so don't have issues, because they do. You ain't working with me. I'm not saying they're not crazy, because they are. But they crazy with everybody. But the reason why you can't get along with them is because you're focusing on what they're doing to you. You're focusing on how they're making you feel. You're focusing on what they did to you. As opposed, do I have everybody's attention? Y'all shutting down on me. You're not looking at me. I'm looking at y'all. Y'all, let me be real clear. Let me tell you how this thing works. When I'm up here preaching, I'm looking at you. So when you start looking away, I'm like, I'm looking at you looking away. That's not good to your speaker, because your speaker thinks you're not paying attention or you're not interested in what I have to say at that moment. Am I helping anybody? That's something I have to work on, because I like taking notes. So I find myself sometimes looking down here taking notes. Then I catch myself. I wonder if the speaker thinks I'm not paying attention to them and I'm surfing the web. So I told Greg, I got to figure something else out, because I like taking notes. As a matter of fact, when a preacher speaks, the notes are generally so profound that this is how the Lord gives me insight on some of the messages that I preach, because I hear other preachers preach. And I'm like, that'll preach right there. Bam, 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 bam. That'll preach right there. Bam, 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 bam. So, so I just thought I'd say that, because I'm looking at y'all and I'm like, I'm just here because Pastor told me to be here. Come on, guys.
Taking notes, Pastor.
Thank you. Taking. Okay, there you go. You're using my own words against me. You're taking notes. So when we can't get along with people, everybody say, I can't get along with them.
I can't get along with them.
when you can't get along with another person, it's not the other person's fault. It's your fault because you are the leader. It's your responsibility to figure out how to serve that person who does not have you. You can't blame them for not having the same loyalty that you have, or the same intellect that you have, or the same spirituality that you have, or the same love that you have. It is your job as a servant leader to figure out what does this person need and give it to them. Y'all still looking away on me. It is your responsibility to figure this out. We are the servant leaders who have to figure out what's wrong with this person. Now, you can't say that to them. You can't say you crazy, deranged. You have to understand that I have been called. We that are great become ministers or servants, and everybody in here must do this. We must do this. What the world, when they tried to implement this, what they was trying to get people to understand, ultimately it would redound back to business or the corporation, but they never bought into it. What Christ understood is this: if the people are better, then the church will be better. We get so focused on the church that we figure out that we forget the church is the people. We take a short-term perspective, and this is what happened in our society. This is why everything is so rushed. Everything is so right now. Everything is, what's the latest numbers? What have you done for me lately? What were your last month's projections? Did you meet your goals? Everything is about right now. But we don't think about that. We have to think about the long term. The reason why I put up with people for so long is because I'm thinking long term. Yo, Jesus was the model. Jesus' basic motives were, and write these passages. I'm gonna give you a few passages. We can write now. And so y'all can look down and write. Now you got to look down and write. You can't be looking around here. I want to make sure y'all paying attention now as leaders. Jesus submitted his own life to the sacrificial service under the will of God. That's Luke 22:42. And he sacrificed his life freely out of the service of others. So he submitted to the will of God. That's Luke 22:42. He sacrificed. That's John 10:30. He came to serve. We just read that. That's Matthew 20:28. He came to serve. Although he was God's son, and was thus more powerful than any other leader in the world, he healed the sick, that's Mark 7:31, drove out demons, that's Mark 5:1, was recognized as a teacher, John 13:13, and had power over the wind and the seas, that's Mark 4:35. He gives us practical examples of what it really means to lead as a servant. If you, and I'm not going to take the time to go through this, but write these verses down. John 13, verses 1 through 17. John 13, verses 1 through 17. So let's look at this. Jesus gives a very practical example of what it means to serve others. He washed the feet of his followers, which was properly the responsibility of the house servant. Now, let me break that down here in just a minute. But everybody hear me on this. He washed the feet of his followers. To those of you that can't get along with some of your church brothers and sisters here at the church, who was one of those followers that Jesus washed their feet? I can't hear you. Judas. I can't hear you. Judas. Yeah. He washed Judas's feet. Now, to those of you that have decided, I'm just not going to get along with this one, I can't get along with that one, I don't get along with so and so, he washed Judas's feet. And sometimes we know that people don't like us and treat us a certain kind of way, and our attitude towards them shifts and changes. But Jesus washed his feet. He served him. Four things I want you to get. Number one, in verse 1 of that passage I just gave you, Jesus' basic motivation was love for his followers. I just preached 3 months on that. Just wrote a whole book about it. The motivation was love. Everybody say love. Love. You have to be motivated by love in order to serve as a leader. If that is not your motivations, as it relates to Victorious Praise, this may not be a great place for you to operate as a leader. Now, I'm not saying you can't go find another church where you can become a great leader over there, because they're going to give you all kind of titles and positions and recognition and those types of things. But you must be motivated by love. You must be motivated by love. That was his basic motivation. Number two, Jesus was fully aware of his position as a leader. You can see that in verse 14. Before the disciples experienced him as their servant, they had already experienced him many times as their master and as a strong, extreme, powerful leader. What this says here is that we have to be a blessing to people. We have to, whatever God has given us, that has to redound back to those people. They should have been blessed by whatever you do, whatever you have, whatever accomplishments you are able to achieve. Somebody should be blessed in this world because of who you are. Your greatness should mean something in their life, not to be served, but to have used that to their benefit. Somebody's life should be better because you're in it. Because of what God has given you, somebody's life should be better. Number three, Jesus voluntarily becomes a servant to his followers, verses 5 through 12. This is a voluntary thing. Sometimes we wait on an appointment. Sometimes we wait, we want somebody to recognize us. And I understand that that's a challenge for some of you, but ultimately we call this a volunteer ministry. Everything in here, we volunteer. Yes, we have some paid and employees, but the truth of the matter is we are doing this because we want to do this. Jesus voluntarily became a servant. And number four, Jesus wants to set an example for his followers to follow. Now, what is going to happen with our babes in our church? They're going to take on the nurturing, the characteristics that they see from us. I've been working on this a lot and trying to pull us towards this as a group of servant leaders. And that is, the people that follow you will take on your behavioral characteristics. The little children take on the behavior of the big child, of the old child. And so we have the servant leader. From the teaching and example of Jesus Christ, we learned that being a servant leader is the most general sense, means being one, a volunteer, a voluntary servant. Number two, a leader who uses the power that is entrusted in them to serve others. Number three, a servant who out of love serves others before their own needs. And number four, a teacher who teaches their followers. A teacher who teaches. And this is what Tony Dungy gets into his book, that I am here mentoring people. I am here serving people. I am here helping people. So number one, I'm a voluntary servant. I'm submitting my gifts and talents for a higher purpose. And I'm going back to the 4 I just gave you. Number 2, I'm a leader who uses power that has been entrusted in me. So each one of you, if you take on a role or an assignment, that is an assignment that has been entrusted to you. And let me just take a little page break right here. I need your help with this. It is imperative that if you're going to take this that I've entrusted in you as a leader, it is imperative that you do it the same way you would if I was around you. See, I run into this a lot and I don't like it. And people say, well, Pastor, when you're not around, they act this way. Now, let me be real clear. And I'll give you this little analogy. As a pastor, I deal with a lot of females. Sometimes I counsel them. Sometimes I speak to them. I talk to them on the phone. A lot of my leaders are females. But here's one thing that I can say unequivocally. I never talk, operate, or behave around a female any differently than I would if my wife was standing right there listening on the call. Never, never. So whether it's private or I got it on speakerphone, my wife is in right there, it's the same conversation, it's the same behavior, it's the same attitude. Now I'm saying, I gave you that analogy to say that's the same way you should lead. As if pastor's right there, as if God's right there. The way you should treat people, as if, if you cut somebody, and you know what I mean by that, right? I'm talking with a real knife, but the way y'all can be. Now, if you can do that in front of me, then go ahead and keep doing it then. But you're being hypocritical if you operate one way out of my presence and a different way in my presence. That's not right. That's not right. If you holy terror, and then when pastor walk in, your whole attitude shift and change. That's not right. As a servant leader, that's not correct. Did y'all get that? You serve at the pleasure of the authority to serve, and you should serve with that as an understanding, as if the person right there, because you're being in their stead. You're serving instead. Now, I'm an extremely liberal person. I'm an extremely patient person. I will give people enough rope to see. Y'all keep getting wrong. I don't want to die. I don't want nobody to hang themselves. See, that's the problem. Y'all trying to hang on. You have enough rope to hang themselves. No, no, no. I give people enough rope so they can pull themselves out of the hole that they dug themselves into. I want people to get right. You know, some people can't get right, but you want to give them a lot, you want to help them try to get right. That's what a servant leader does. And so it's extreme. You got to work real hard. I just need to understand your pastor. Pastor will be extremely patient in working with people. I want to kill people. I don't want to crush people. I want to cut people. I don't want to people. And so it's very rare that I'll ask a person to step down from a position I've given them. So I didn't want that in your, because I recently did ask a person to step down. But I want you to understand that's a very rare occurrence with your pastor. I don't care what anybody says. Somebody comes, pastor, hold on. I know my pastor. My pastor enough rope to do I think 90% I'll get it at that time. One person still trying to hang, kill the move, kill. I'm trying to know. I love everybody. I serve everybody. I'm here to make everybody better. I love it. I use my gifts and my talents to serve them. I teach them. What am I doing today? I teach them. So, and I do them because I do these things. Here's one thing: 100% certain. One of this is why I recently had to move someone is because I can't teach you if you don't show up to class. I take attendance for a reason. How can I expect you to get better if you won't show up to the thing that I'm trying to teach to you to get better? Amen. Thank you, Jesus. So, what these things? I want to love you. I want to give you patience. I want to use what God gave me to you. I want to, but at the end of the day, I can't help you if you won't let me help you. Did y'all get that? Yeah. So, a Christian servant leader must be Christ-centered, committed to serve, courageous leadership, I'm going to go over these again, consistently, continually inviting feedback. Did you get that? And I want you to see if this sounds like your pastor. First of all, a Christian servant must be Christ-centered. Everybody say Christ-centered. Christ-centered. That is, in all aspects of life, a volunteer servant of Christ. That's my ultimate motivation. Our church needs a lot of stuff. We need an EA system. We need a new video system. We need money. We need more people. We need this. We need that. But at the end of the day, all of this is Christ-centered. Everything is Christ-centered. I need more money, but I ain't took a raise in 6 years. As a matter of fact, I decreased my salary last year because I centered on the things of Christ rather. Number two, that I just gave you, committed to serve the needs of the others before your own. You're committed to this. You're committed to serving others. Their life is going to be better because you're serving them. Number three, you're courageous to lead with power and love as an expression of serving. I'm going to serve you. I love you, but I'm also courageous. So I have to make a hard call now, not a weakling. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Are y'all with me? You know, because I'm not blusterous and calling folk out their name and doing all that don't mean I don't have courage now. If I do it, I got to do it now. But I'm gonna show as much love and compassion that I can. Consistently developing. Now, all of you already know my deal, my month, but to those that do, you know that your pastor is committed to learning how to become better. I mean, I invest a lot of energy, time, and money to become a better leader, a better pastor, a better servant. I'm a part of a group that costs me about $1,000 a month to be a part of, just to learn how to be a better leader. I read books, I study. I don't give you a warmed over message Sunday after Sunday. You can't write a book just, you ain't working with me, and I've written 6. I'm doing all of these things because I'm consistently developing myself. I ain't living off of what I had in 1998 when I started the church, 2003-4 when we built this facility. I want to get better. And continually inviting feedback. And that's a challenge because nobody likes bad feedback, do we? You'll ask somebody to tell you the truth, but as soon as they tell you the truth, y'all ain't working with it. Well, how does it look on me, baby? Now, you want the truth or you, okay. You know, we want feedback as long as it makes us look good and sound good. But the truth of the matter is you got to be willing to hear things that may challenge you a little bit. And so I'm constantly asking for that. Every time your new members join the church, I meet with them 6 weeks later. I say, give me some feedback about our church. And they don't like it. They always, good, it's so good, so good, and the church so good, I love me. So I get some feedback. What is the biggest challenge? So it sounds so negative. Well, since Joe blows the real, okay, y'all working around it. It started coming out. But that's the truth. That we can't get better if we're not challenged. Continually getting this. There are implications that we under. So think yourself. This is the last thing I'm going to, and I didn't even get into stuff today. Think of yourselves as, I like this terminology in our quick. It says a 3D leader. There are 3 dimensions in which Christian servant leaders must grow. A 3D leader. 1, as a volunteer servant of God. That's the first dimension. I'm a volunteer servant of God. A 3D leader. As a servant to others. A servant to others. And 3, you are a leader. You are a leader. If you are into serving God and serving others, you apply leadership skills in order to do that. You can't serve if you're leading them to get to some place. That's where the servant leadership piece comes in. I'm not just giving you some help with to get you somewhere. I'm trying to get some higher level and some deeper level of love. I'm trying to choose some place. That's where the leadership piece comes in. Just ain't good enough if I'm going to help you to get some. According to the Bible, to become a servant leader of God, enjoy serving only a decision that if than this, because of nature, as Christians, we find ourselves drawn to Christ's servant leadership model. It is the leadership of our Jesus Christ. And as we see throughout the Bible, serving God in so thank you all for, and we want to grow. By taking on last month, talking about this, and so this month, I've only done this being that's the teacher of vital that everyone becomes that. Everyone becomes mentoring, helping, leading someone else in your servant leadership. So let's give God a great big hand praise for the teaching today.